Anyway, I'm gonna do this. With Twilight's help, I eased myself painfully down onto her couch. Nurse Mercy, back in Ponyville Clinic, had done a great job with the bandaging, but the wound, but the wound on my side, although well on the way to healing, was still throbbing painfully, and I'd run out of the little candy-shaped painkillers I've been given. Luckily, there was an open bottle of dandelion wine on the coffee table, and I reached across and took the bottle graciously. Oh, you're not going to drink, are you? The little unicorn looked in concern as I poured myself a glass of wine with a grimace. Nurse Mercy said you shouldn't drink alcohol until you've healed better. Look, Twy, I said, pausing to knock back a quick mouthful. The warm, sweet liquor was already doing me more good than all the painkillers I'd taken. I got hit by a manticore's tail. I think I'm going to have a drink to celebrate the fact that I'm not dead. Nurse Mercy be damned. Twilight giggled at my swearing, but then her face filled with remorse. It's all my fault. We should have gone. We never should have gone into the Everfree Forest. I almost got you killed. I smiled at her and shook my head. It wasn't your fault, Twy. You were just trying to help me. And if you hadn't reached me in time, I'd be in a lot worse shape than just having a bunch of puncture marks in my side. Hold up. Apple ciders. Graffiti tag. Made from an accident that made it
Awesome.
50% cooler. Anyway, um, I smiled at her and shook my head. It wasn't your fault, so I wouldn't. Oh, okay. What in the question are you talking about? Twilight frowned. You leaped in front of me. Nah, I was just trying to run past you. You see, I didn't have to outrun the manticore, I just had to outrun you. I winked at her to let her know I was joking. Twi was not great with picking up even the most obvious jokes, so you had to be careful. Twi giggled. She had a throaty, gentle little laugh that you didn't hear that often. I'd been trying to get her to loosen up a little, and it seemed to be working. But she was still obsessed with returning me to the human world after I had been brought here by an accident through one of her spells. Aren't you going to join me? I asked, waggling the bottle in front of her face. I can't possibly drink the whole bottle. Oh shit. I can't possibly drink the whole bottle all by myself in my weakened condition. Twilight eyed it with longing. Oh, don't tease me. You know I've sworn off of alcohol. It was true, she had. For she had been drunk when she'd cast a spell that had accidentally dragged me into Equestria rather than the sample of extra-dimensional plant life she had intended. She'd been collecting plants from the various universes that bordered on Equestria. There it is. On Equestria. There you are. There you are. Okay. Okay, hold up. Okay. The stuff is published. Now I can finally go on to reading. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So, aren't you going to join me? There we go. I need your
Nice.
block link. It's not showing on my dash. Anyway. Yeah, it's not showing because I'm doing all commissions and stuff on that blog. Anyway, aren't you going to join me? Oh, let's see. Equestria, and it was usually a simple thing to bring a sample through a small portal that she'd open up. But around a month ago, after a few too many shots of vanilla lemon vodka with Pinky and Rarity, Twi had come home and thrown herself back into her work, and instead of a sample of plant life, it was me who had ended up getting sucked through the portal into Equestria. I had been here for a few months now. Of course, after trying all the magic she knew, Twilight had taken me to see Princess Celestia, but the news hadn't been good. The princess told us that although drawing things into Equestria was quite straightforward, there was no easy way to send things back to their own universe. Apparently, and here's where the explanation became a bit hard for me to follow. The universes keep moving around at random, and predicting which one will be closest to Equestria at any given moment is impossible. And so I was stuck here. I'd moped around for about a week, as you might expect, worrying about my family and friends back on Earth. But slowly, I adapted to life here in Equestria. Having to be vegetarian and also eat dessert 3 times a day wasn't all that bad. And all the ponies were pretty cool. They'd welcome me with open arms, or forelegs. And here in Ponyville, there weren't any essays to write, exams to sit, or other pointless, mundane crap that had that had filled my pretty disappointing overall life back on Earth. And so I'd started to enjoy living here, and more and more I was wanting Twi not to find a way to get me back home. But the stubborn little pony refused to be diverted from her latest project, and she spent day and night obsessing about it. Although recently I managed to get her to take breaks from her experimentation and research. But she always seemed to somehow find a way to invoke her work with whatever activity it was I dragged her off to. Our real faded little walk through the pleasant flower-filled meadows around Fluttershy's treehouse was the latest example. I've been getting Twi to tell me the names of all the different birds and insects and plants that we encountered. I knew she loved showing off her knowledge, and spending time outdoors in the endless sunshiny days of an Equestria spring was much more fun than being stuck in her laboratory and watching her fill test tubes with strange colored chemicals in a seemingly endless succession. Equestrian flora and fauna overlapped with ours in a lot of ways, but there was often some strange punny aspect to them. As we walked together through the meadows, fields, we found buttercups that in Equestria tasted like we are butter. They were Twi's favorite, and she'd finally cajoled me to trying some, and they'd been creamy and delicious. Yummy. Sunflowers that shone so brightly with their own light that you could barely stand to look at them. Snapdragons that snapped when you tried to pick them. And so, at last, I decided to try picking some daisies instead. And having found them to be just the same ones you get back on Earth, I made a little bouquet for Twilight, and I made a bouquet of them and surprised Twi with them. For me? She cried in delight, taking the bouquet in her mouth and straight away starting to eat it. How'd you know daisies are my favorite? As I watched her happily chewing on them, I suddenly realized I was in love with the little lavender colored pony. I guess I've been trying to fight the feelings for a good while now. When I first came to Equestria, I had been a little freaked out by all the talking ponies and dragons and so on. But you'd be amazed how quickly you get used to things. And the ponies were adorable with their big eyes and cheerful faces, their ability to talk and their human mannerisms, and their round little bodies that seemed like they were made from marshmallow. Only Rarity is made from marshmallow. I don't know about every other pony. They were quite. Oh wait, that's a question I have to ask Gonzo. You know the I still haven't answered this question, but the what is it called? Um, the
Hold
Fruitalicious,
on.
the Fruitalicious pony, something anatomy. The Fruitalicious pony anatomy. There we go. Um, um, yes. So what would Twilight? I mean, what would your character be made out of? Interesting. Wait, did Gonzo leave?
No, no, no. I'm
No.
just
Uh,
Yeah, I'm talking with someone real quick.
okay, then I'll wait. Well, while I wait, I'm gonna continue to. Let's see. I've been freaked out. Human mannerisms, round bodies. They were quite unlike real ponies or horses, except for odd times such as this one, with Twy munching on the bouquet just like a real pony would. A single white petal she'd missed sticking to her lip. But it was one thing to think of them as people, quite another to fall in love with one. As we walked through those flowery meadows, the gentle buzzing of bees in our ears, the glittery spring sun setting the little brooks that we hopped over into streams of tiny diamonds. My heart became filled with increasing panic. Wait a second. Oh, wait, never mind. Marshmallow, you're made of marshmallow. Never mind. I was in love with Twilight Sparkle, and she probably saw me as nothing more than an interesting sample from an alternative universe, or even worse, a friend. Oof, those words, they kill me. Who's here still? Minion, you still here?
Yep.
What would you be
Just
made out
finishing
of?
up there.
What would you be made
Hmm?
out of? What would you be made out of?
Uh,
Ponylicious
trying,
and anatomy. What?
trying to think.
All right, then. While you
I
think.
probably have to say those butterscotch candies.
All right,
I
then.
guess.
Okay. For those ponies that are in the chat too, type out what your pony would be made out of, because it's the ponylicious anatomy that we must solve. I'm still thinking of one for Light Flower. I saw apple cider at first. I was like, God damn. Then I pressed I on the search bar and went on the live stream Night Flower, and now I am here. Oh, whoa, whoa. So tell me, what do you ponies are made out of food wise? And while I continue reading your Klopfic. Twy had been watching me for a while now as I looked downcast, but she, in her own little way, completely misinterpreted the reason for my sudden dejection. Twy was like that. She wasn't good at understanding emotions, especially the emotions of others. I guess it was the variety of nativity that so often goes hand in hand with genius. Huh. Fluttershy is made out of bananas. UKF is made out of vanilla. Mr.
Oh yeah,
Nightmare's
I'm
made
made
out
out of
of
bananas.
nice. Mr. Nightmare's made out of dark chocolate, black licorice, and cherry cotton candy. Soda is made out of chocolate. I'm a wolf or dragon. Yeah, but you still have to have a ponylicious anatomy. Jen Minion's not a pony, and he still gave us one. I don't know. 5-star chocolate cake. Some kind of goop. Is this goop edible, DJ?
I don't know.
Hmm.
And you can call
I still.
ready, dude.
Red Wing is made out of Swedish fish. Yes. I still have to think of one for Night Flower. Shoot.
You can be made out of candy cane since you have a candy cane mane.
You know, that's not a bad idea. Candy canes. Alright, then I made out of candy cane. Peppermint candy cane. Anyway, um, I looked. Okay, let's see. And so she walked. Twi was like that. Genius. And so she walked up to me and getting up on her hind legs, she placed a forehoof on my shoulder and said, with sisterly concern, I promise I'll do everything I can to get you back home. Ooh, my sis is online. Yay. Which means I lost my phone. Like,
Wow.
no, if she springs online, that means I lost my phone somewhere. Oh shit, there went my tablet. And there went the empty cup that if it was full, I would be cursing myself right now. Ugh, I'm burning up in here. Time to open a window. Oh, well, what do you know? It is raining over here. There it is. I knew it. Alright then. Well, lack of. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, time for me to continue with the story because I know you guys wanted me to continue, and I'm sorry for all of the delay. Um, It is raining over here. Let's see. Oh, I've had an amazing idea. Wait, no. I looked at her, and her soft kindness of her big violet eyes filled my heart with a terrifying mixture of longing and anxiety. But then I saw them sparkle with sudden intensity. Oh, I've just had an amazing idea, cried Twy. Follow me. And without further ado, she started to trot off in the direction of the ever-free forest. I just stood there. Wait, Twy, what idea? What are you talking about? Twy stopped and looked back at me with exasperation. We're gonna go to the Temple of the Two Sisters. Don't you remember that Princess Celestia said only the most ancient of all magic could get you home? Ancient of all ancient magic, sorry about that. And there's sure to be something there, some clues, some objects, something that can help us. Great. Another quiet little moment together ruined. I don't want to seem unthankful, though. Blind Guardian. Anyway, I didn't want to seem God damn it, I lost my spot again. Oh, I didn't want to seem unthankful, though, so I masked the feelings of sudden disappointment that welled up in me with the thought of leaving Equestria, and I ran to catch up with her. But we'd never reached the temple, and instead met up with the Manticore. Not the kind-hearted one that Fluttershy had tamed, but a vicious and terrifying predator that we just barely escaped from with our lives. After jumping in front of its mighty tail and taking the blow that had been intended for Twilight, I had fallen to the ground, dazed and in terrible pain, with just enough life left in me to watch in awe and amazement as the Manticore was flung through the air, as if by a mighty invisible hand, all through the desperate power of Twilight's magic. And then, slipping into and out of consciousness, blood pouring from my side, Twy had carried me out of the forest on her back. We were closer to Ponyville than to Segura's hut, which was deep in the center of the forest, so it was in the Ponyville clinic that I had woken up several hours later. Nurse Mercy had a concerned and remorseful Twilight at my side. But that was yesterday, and now I was sitting on her couch, drinking dandelion wine and feeling much, much better. But Twy was just as remorseful as she had been when I'd first woken up from my daze. Hold up a second. Let's see. I'm so sorry I brought you here, away from all your friends and your family, she said. And that awful injury, it's all my fault. She looked down at her hooves. You must hate me. I laughed, and at the sound, Twy raised her face again and looked at me in confusion. Oh, Twy, I don't hate you. But of course, I didn't say what I felt. My heart did a somersault, and panicking, I found myself babbling instead. Sorry, I am a really busy pony. I don't know why. Okay. Kablam! Now I can keep Skype up. Alright. I laughed. Didn't say what I felt. My heart did a somersault, and panicking, I found myself babbling instead. You're an awesome friend, and I really, really like you as a friend. I mean, oh God, had I really just said all that crap? But Twy didn't seem put off by my pathetic ramblings. In fact, she seemed pleased. Her look of misery had brightened into a smile, and her shoulder had slumped in relief. Really? You think of me as a friend? I nodded warmly, lamely. Well, that was the end of that. I poured myself another glass of dandelion wine. But as I did, I suddenly saw a second glass floating in the air before me, held in place by a magenta glow. I looked at Twy, and she smiled back in embarrassment. I guess I will have a drink after all. I chuckled as I poured her a substantial glass of the fiery liquor. You definitely deserve it, Twy. That was some amazing magic out there. Twy's eyes went back and she blushed. Thank you, she replied. Then her ears perked up again as she looked at me with glittering eyes. You were pretty amazing too, you know. I know some big burly stallions that wouldn't try to face up to a manticore like you did. I think it was just foolishness rather than bravery, I replied. Twi looked at me with a frown. Foolishness? Wait. I blinked, then quickly corrected myself. Twi wasn't great with irony either. Yeah, okay. I guess I was pretty brave. Twi nodded. You were. It was just luck it was a glancing blow. That manicore could have easily killed you. She took another drink from her floating glass and flew it back over to me for a refill, and I was more than happy to oblige. I love drinking at the best of times, but drinking with a pretty girl who's not afraid to meet you drink for drink is even better, don't you agree?
Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep. Uh, and unlike the most human girls, oh yeah, I was asking that question. I was gonna see if anybody was gonna answer it. Nobody caught on. And unlike most human girls, Twi could actually hold her liquor without getting sleepy and collapsing. In fact, the liquor made her talkative and upbeat, quite different from her usual phlegmatic self. Unlike the other little ponies in Ponyville, Twi was genuinely interested in my stories about the human world. I regaled her with my knowledge of science. Science! Only some of which was applicable to the world of Equestria. For example, for them, the sun revolved around their planet, and the seasons were results of, you guessed it, magic. I explained to Twi. I'm sorry, I had to. I had to.
Okay.
I had to. What's wrong with whose lungs? I.
No, they're just RP.
Oh. Okay. I explained to Twi about how our world revolved around the sun, and how the tilt of the globe on its axis was what brought our seasons. She sat there, riveted, and I laughed to myself that this was the first time in my life that my knowledge of science had been useful in keeping a girl entertained. So, your Earth is essentially an entire planet like the Everfree Forest? Her eyes were wide with amazement. Life on your world must be so dangerous. What with all the monsters roaming around everywhere? I chuckled. God damn it. There aren't really any monsters on Earth. I mean, we used to have dinosaurs. Big lizard things, not much different from dragons. But they all got wiped out. I guess you could say that the only monsters left on Earth now is us humans. But some people still believe in them. I mean, believe in werewolves and vampires and stuff like that. I suddenly laughed. You know, Twi, I'm so glad that the first thing that pops into my head now, that when I hear the name Twilight, is your face and not those lame, sparkly vampires. Twi paused mid-sip and frowned. What do you mean, sparkly vampires? Well, I didn't really want to get involved in an in-depth explanation. There was a series of novels called Twilight that were pretty popular for a while in the human world. They had these lame, sparkly vampires in them that Twilight snorted. You know, there's no such thing as vampires, right? I have no idea why any pony would want to read about things that aren't real. It seems just like a waste of time to me. Wow. Just for fun, I guess. I replied, shrugging. The fuck? Oh.
The fuck?
No, because I had a water bottle, and I moved myself, and the thing hit me in the back, like as if it was an assassination attempt, but it failed. Okay, let's see. It's let's see.
for fun, I guess, I replied, shrugging. I started kicking myself that the conversation had gone in this direction. Twy had been getting all worked up over the science, and now she was on the defensive and about to start on one of her rants. Hold on a second. I forgot to mention to him.
Oh, wow.
What happened? Okay. Um. Oh,
Excuse me.
Ganza, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you a question. You know the Ponylicious anatomy, right?
A little bit of it.
What's your pony made out of? I forgot to ask.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I
I'd
forgot to.
say a little bit of I say either caramel or peanut butter fudge.
Nice.
Peanut butter fudge. That sounds delicious.
Oh, Ganzo.
Oh yes.
Now you just make me crave that stuff.
Oh my. Oh yeah. Oh wow.
What?
Nothing.
The got you?
What happened? It's making me.
That
It sounds so yummy.
Of course it does.
And the. Um, oh yes. Why don't you come my way, Gonzo? I could have some fun with your peanut butter fudge.
Oh, God.
Wow, I'm not very bright. I just realized I had my mic muted the whole time.
No, that was fail.
Anyway.
I muted it because I had someone here, and then I forgot to mute it because I had Skype open.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Twy had been getting all worked up over the science, and now she was on the defensive and about to start one of her rants. Oh shoot! Put in your earplugs. Made up stuff isn't fun. Twilight rolled her eyes. Statistics and graphs and facts, now they're fun. God damn, she's dull. She raised her head and her horn glowed. She levitated, and her horn glowing, she levitated down a huge book from high up on her bookshelves. Written on the spine was the Encyclopedia Equestria Book of Facts. And as she opened it, I saw the subtitle on the front cover. They're totally fun. So, what should I look up? She asked excitedly. I shrugged. I don't know. How about manticores? The little unicorn muttered as she flipped through the book rapidly and cried out what she found out what she was looking for. Aha! Here we are! She cleared her throat and started to recount the fun facts she's discovered. The spines on a manticore's tail are covered in a venom containing an anticoagulant, which makes wounds inflicted by them bleed for days afterwards. She crinkled her muzzle. Ew, that's actually kind of gross. She looked
Not
at
really.
She looked at my bandaged side, and it makes me feel even worse about what happened. It's definitely an interesting fact, though. I chuckled, brightening up. Maybe facts could be fun. Here, pass me the book. Twy hopped up onto the couch and laid down so that she could read the book alongside me. Her eyes were glued to my hands as I flicked through the pages rapidly, looking for another fun fact. It must be useful having those hands, Twilight sighed. It can be pretty exhausting having to use magic to move everything around all the time. How about those poor earth ponies, I said. Twy looked thoughtful. Well, yes, but earth ponies are much stronger than unicorns. Well, it says here that earth ponies are usually 3 times as strong as unicorns. Really? Oh, let me see. She scooshed. That should be a substitute word for jizz. I just scooshed. Scoosh! Anyway, she scooshed herself up closer to look over my shoulder. and I suddenly felt the softness of her coat where her foreleg was brushing against my upper arm. She was so near to me now that I could smell her usual scent of vanilla and lavender. It was from the soap that Twy used, and for a long time now I'd associated her with the smell. As we read together, taking turns looking up more and more ludicrous and little-known facts, she kept pouring drink after drink, and we were soon getting pretty tipsy. A lot of the fun facts were suddenly a lot more fun than they would have ordinarily have been, and the entry on the mating dance for dragons had us in hysterics. Tears were running down Twilight's face. Oh, we have to show Rarity this. She'll never look at Spike the same way again. Who knew dragons did all that? As I caught my breath, I said, Aw, don't do that to the poor little guy. He'd never live it down. Twilight wiped her eyes with her forehead. I guess you're right. She turned and floating a newly opened bottle of wine across to us, she freshened our glasses. And I hear someone yawning. I took mine out of the air and glanced over it at the smiling unicorn who was already taking gulps of wine between giggles. Miss Sparkle, are you trying to get me drunk? Twilight took the glass from her lips, her cheeks suddenly flushing red. Why? Why would I be trying to do that? I have absolutely no idea. But luckily for you, I like being drunk, I said, taking another mouthful of the wine. Twy's eyes flickered over my face. But, oh shit, what did I do?
What did you do?
I have no idea. Flickered on my face, but didn't anywhere for long. And I noticed her trying to hide a nervous little smile. Why don't we read a little bit more? She suggested. What should we look up now? I asked. We've already read about the terrible secret behind sea serpent facial hair, the reason why griffins and ponies hate each other, and that strange case of the oatmeal that made all those ponies in Hoofington go crazy. Twy's eyes flashed. Oh, ponies and griffins! That reminds me! I was holding the book, so she leaned across me to read it as she flipped the pages looking for the entry she was interested in. I felt my heart beat faster as she rubbed against me, but suddenly she found the page she was looking for and sat back on her half of the sofa. I looked down at the page. Hippogriffs? Twy nodded. I read the entry. It says that the hippogriff is the foal of a griffin and a pony produced with the aid of magic. I scratched my head. I never knew about that. But don't you think it's amazing that two species that are so different can actually fall in love? Her violet eyes searched my face. Well, it is pretty amazing, and actually kind of adorable if you think about it. Twilight clapped her hooves together. Oh, it is, isn't it? Let's have another drink. I was already quite drunk now, but Twy kept levitating the dandelion wine over and topping up my glass. I was at that point when you stop being able to judge how much you have drink already, and I took another sip, turned to Twy, and looked at her. She had a few drinks too by now. She hadn't quite been meeting me drink for drink, but her cheeks were flushed and she was softly smiling. And she was softly smiling as she shyly looked down at the glass floating down before her face. Hey, you're not tired, are you? I asked suddenly. I was worried that the evening was starting to come to an end just when we were starting to get close. Twy didn't look up and just shook her head. I leaned over and looked up at her, but she turned her face away, and the flush from the liquor deepened into a blush on her cheeks. I think I've had a bit too much to drink, she whispered. Ah, come on, Twy. Let's see those gorgeous eyes of yours. All that wine had made me braver, and with her body so close to mine, I was gripped with a desperate need to see that face I'd fallen in love with. They're not gorgeous, she said, still refusing to meet my gaze. And my face feels all flushed. I must look terrible. I don't think it's possible for you to look terrible, I told her. I brought my hand to her face and lifted it up. She didn't resist, but just stared at me, her violet eyes glistening behind those long, dark lashes. You really think so? I nodded. You know, I've had a thing for you since we first time we've met. Twy frowned. A thing for me? I felt my heart beating faster. I guess it was now or never. You know, a crush. I realized I've had to tell her sooner or later. At least this way I'd get it all out of my system and not have it eating me away inside. Her mouth became an O of surprise. Oh, wrong one. You have a crush on me? She said, pulling away. You're not freaked out, are you, Twy? I was gripped by a sudden panic that... Ah, fuck!
Wow.
My charger is trying to kill me. Ah, God.
What happened?
My computer charger fell off of my thing and hit me square on my pelvis, the back of part of my pelvis. Ah.
Ooh.
God. I'm alright. God, I'm alright. I think.
You think?
I think I'm alright. I felt my heart. Let's see. I was gripped by a sudden panic that cut through my drunkenness. I'd forgotten that I was essentially a hairless ape in a world of magical little ponies, and I knew I must look strange to them. And strange was more or less the same thing as unattractive. Oh, God. This goddamn charger of death. Twy didn't reply and just turned her face away. Twy? I felt my heart like a dead weight of ice sink in my chest. I wanted to reach out to her and touch her, but my hand fell back. I knew my heart just wouldn't be able to stand it if she recoiled from me at that moment. But at last she turned back to look at me, and her eyes were glistening with the beginnings of tears. Twy, what's wrong? Why are you making fun of me? She demanded, distraught. I thought you were my friend. Did she really think I was making fun of her? I fought off my own tears. I'd never do that to you, Twy, I said. I slipped a hand onto her foreleg, and she looked down at it, but she made no move to pull it away. Is it really so hard to believe I'd have a crush on you? You don't think I'm ugly? She asked. The glistening had become tears, and they rolled down her lavender cheeks in droplets like diamonds, were trapped by her thick black lashes. Ugly? What are you talking about? Weird, then? She said, her voice a little more than a whisper. An ugly, weird egghead? Who's called you that? I was suddenly furious at the thought that someone could be so mean-spirited. Ponies have, she replied. And it's true. I'm a plain, boring egghead with a fat rump who no pony would ever want. Wow. Her tears were falling onto the couch now. I've never even had a cult friend before. I guess stallions just find a mare who's interested in reading a book's a bit too boring to want to date. Her eyes closed in pain. I mean, I'm no Fluttershy. I can be pretty touchy at times, and I guess that scares a lot of guys off. And no pony wants a girlfriend who uses big words. Who told you that garbage? I demanded. Rainbow Dash, she replied. Rainbow Dash giving you advice about stallions? I snorted. I think you can discount anything she says, Twy. I bet it was Rainbow Dash who said that you were an egghead as well. I reached over and slid my arms around her. She flinched but didn't move away, so I pulled her towards me and hugged her. You're none of those things, I told her. You're funny, you're smart, but I wouldn't call you an egghead. Eggheads are supposed to be boring, and you're easily the most interesting individual I've ever met. You, you okay, Gonzo?
I'm just wanting to go for a little walk.
Oh, alright then. If you need to, you
I'll
can
be right
go.
back.
Alright. She rested her head on my shoulder. It was soft and warm, and I could feel the hot wetness of a tear-filled eye against my cheek. What? Oh, okay. Really, I replied. But most of all, you're beautiful, Twy. I don't think you realize how beautiful you are. She pulled out of my arms and slid across the couch away from me. Please stop saying those things. I know you're just saying that to make me feel better. I shook my head, seeing her so fragile, so vulnerable, so unlike her usual stubborn, opinionated self was breaking my heart. I'd never lie to you to make you feel better. You'd be able to tell straight away if I was. Twy looked at me. But why do you think I'm beautiful? I look just like one of those animal ponies you told me about from your universe. That spend the entire day eating grass and neighing and pooping and... I said pooping. Animal ponies, I chuckled. I've never met a pony in my universe that I could sit on the couch besides and drink with and have fun with and fall in. I stopped before I said too much. But why don't you like some pony like Rarity then? She asked. Or Fluttershy. They're so much more beautiful than me. Are you going to make me say it, Twy? I closed my eyes for a moment in pain. It's those eyes of yours, Twy. That look you get in them sometimes when you're talking about stuff you love and your mane. I went red. I never sweet-talked a girl by praising her mane before, and it did feel weird, but it was true. Those bangs made her look totally adorable. The real sexy Liberian type, but it also showed how naive she was, and I found that innocence about her maddening. You like my mane? Twice sniffed. She wasn't crying anymore. No pony's ever told me that they liked my mane before. Don't you think it's totally unfashionable cut? I mean, it's nowhere near as gorgeous as Rarity's, and let Rarity have that wavy mane of hers, I snorted. Your cut suits you, Twy. I can't imagine your mane any other way. Besides, I think it's adorable. You're adorable. Twy looked up at me shyly. At long last, she seemed to believe what I was saying, and her mouth opened, but no words came out. She stared at me like that for several heartbeats. Then all of a sudden, a stream of words exploded out of her in a rush. I think I have a crush on you too, she babbled. As soon as she finished, she turned away, her face crimson. Wait,
Wow.
what? You didn't think I could do that?
No, you just said that a little fast.
I know, right? I was supposed to, because it's all one word. Wait, Twy, you do? I felt my heart leap in my chest. At least I think that's what this feeling is, she said. I've been trying to look it up in books, but everything written about love is so confusing. It's just that when you're not around, I just can't stop thinking about what you're doing. And when you were helping Applejack fix the barn that time, I realized I was jealous. But why? I realized that my self-doubt was probably pretty unattractive, but it didn't seem to worry her. I guess she shared those same feelings and understood what I meant. You're the first guy who I've been able to talk to without dumbing down what I've been saying, she explained. And you stand up to me too. Remember the time when we were arguing about rainbows? You kept on telling me that they're caused by what was it again? Refraction of sunlight and water droplets, and I was lecturing you on how they're a diffusion of the original light of creation as it extends into our universe? I remember, I replied. You got pretty angry at me, too. Well, I was, but I was also, well, she sighed. It was just exciting to be able to talk about something like that with a boy for once. I don't know if you've noticed, but the stallions in Equestria are not exactly the sharpest bunch. I nodded. Equestria was clearly a matriarchal society where females were expected to do all the administration and thinking, leaving the males to do a lot of the physical labor. I guess it would be a novelty for Twy to be able to talk about these sorts of things. And I I love it when you use big words like zenith or perihelion. They make me feel all. Her cheeks flushed, melty inside. As she sat there beside me, blushing hot, staring down at the couch, her forelegs tucked underneath her, I wanted to throw my arms around her right there and then. She really was the most adorkable thing I've ever seen. Yes, I said adorkable. But, Twy, don't I look weird to you at all? I still couldn't believe that she would find what was essentially a bald ape attractive, no matter how big the words he used were. Well, I had to admit, you're pretty unusual looking, she said with her disarming honesty. But as soon as the words left her mouth, her forehead mwah, flew up to her mouth in horror. I mean, for Equestria, it came out in an apologetic rush. I'm sure that in human work, nah, I'll admit it. I chuckled. I'm pretty funny looking. Even back on Earth, people called me funny looking. Looks just aren't important to me, said Twy quickly. I mean, oh, Celestia, I didn't mean to say that you're ugly. She looked down at her hose in sudden exaggeration. Oh, I always ruin everything. I just don't know how to talk to boys. While she was babbling, I took her head in my hands and brought my face close to hers. Just stop talking for a second, Twy, I said. Her eyes went suddenly wide in panic, and her mouth opened into an O, but she didn't move away. Are you going to kiss me? She asked. I smiled. That's what I was intending to do, yes. I've never really kissed any pony before, she began to say, but I'd already brought my face against hers, and she shut her eyes tight and went slack in my arms as I moved my lips against her own, firm but soft and warm. And as they parted, I could taste her hot breath, syrupy and sweet with the dandelion wine. I left them there for a few heartbeats until she was used to the feeling of my skin against hers, and then I broke the kiss. As soon as her lips were free, she was talking again. Did I do that right? It's just that I've read so many books about how to kiss and everything, but actually doing it is completely. I brought a finger to her lips, and she went silent. It's not really something you can learn from a book, Twy, I said with a chuckle. But that was one hell of a kiss for a beginner. The corners of her mouth turned into a pleased smile under my finger. Oh, I'm so happy I did okay. I laid back on the couch and patted my lap. Why don't you put your head here for a while? Oh, this story is long. Uh, mm, I'm gonna do something different. I'm sorry.
What? What? You don't want to read the comic?
No, I mean I'll read. I was gonna read it,
Come
but
on.
it went. Fine, I'll read it.
Come on, it's getting interesting.
I know, and it's long.
The wing boner grows.
So I didn't. So I didn't need to be asked twice. You know what? You know what? You know what? Hey, Gonzo. I had to. Anyway, she murmured, and I felt that sudden happy excitement.
Do you like bananas?
Twi didn't need to be asked twice. She laid her head down on my lap, and she sighed as I started to stroke my mane. It felt just like a human girl's hair, far softer than I'd expected. For a long time, I enjoyed the sensation of letting it drift through my fingers, and then I ran my fingers over her muzzle, like you would if you were petting a dog, and she seemed to like it a lot. Seemed to like it a lot, closing her eyes and rubbing the side of her head against my stomach. I pet her past her horn and down her mane, then back across to her ears, which were by now turned back in pleasure. Does that feel nice, Twi? I asked. She murmured, and I felt that sudden happy excitement you get when you're with a girl and you realize that things are going to lead somewhere with her tonight. But could could I actually do it with a pony? I looked down at her body, her little forelegs curled up under her chest, her knees pressing against the side of my leg, and her sleek body all laid out along the couch. The gentle dip of her spine that led to her softly rounded rump with its tail flicking back and forth as I pet her. Her body was so pleasingly curved and feminine, I felt myself getting hard, and I wondered if she would notice. As the kiss had proved, she was pretty inexperienced, and I didn't want to scare her off before things got interesting. I couldn't stand the thought of slinking into my bed drunk and trying to beat off after everything that had happened. Uh, that's what he thinks of. If he doesn't get
You
with her, he'll
know,
just get into bed and beat off.
the way you read this makes it sound interesting.
To the people listening to the people listening out there in the stream, is my voice sexy as I read a clock fic?
People will say yes.
I don't know. Oh, that kind of hurt. Ganja,
Hmm?
what do you think about my voice as I'm reading?
Hmm. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it.
That's alright. Well, that's cute.
Why are you out of it? Did you just go get stoned or something, bruh?
Uh, each their
No,
own. You can contain it in a matter of weeks.
RPing with these guys is actually fairly entertaining.
Yeah, you seem to be having a lot of.
I know, right?
I don't know, but I don't know what, but I'm probably getting worried about my cholesterol levels. I've been eating way too much lately, even though
Okay.
I don't.
Don't you have a way to check that?
No.
Anyway, does that feel nice, Twi? I asked. She murmured, and I felt that sudden happy excitement. Oh wait, never mind. I couldn't see in the thought. Oh, beating off. Anyway, you you smell really good. She murmured into my lap, her eyes still closed. You smell just like a stallion. And you smell just like a human girl, I said. It was true. She did. Underneath the lavender and vanilla sweetness there was that unmistakable spicy set of feminine excitement. Twi was obviously getting turned on. I I guess we're not really that different after all, said Twi philosophically. We even speak the same language, I said. Twi lifted her head up suddenly. Yeah, what's with that? She cocked her head as she often did when a thought took hold of her. Even in Equestria there are different languages, so how does it happen that different dimensions speak the same language? Just doesn't make any sense. I shrugged. Maybe there's an invisible bond between our two worlds or something. Isn't that what you were investigating with your magic when you brought me here? I'm sorry, she whispered, putting her head back down. I'm so sorry. No, Twi. I ran my hand along her mane. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. If you hadn't messed up that spell, we'd have never met, and I closed my eyes. I don't think I can stand thinking about that. Me neither, murmured Twice, snuggling her face into my lap. Wait a second, what's today's date?
It's the 9th or 8th.
It's still the 8th until midnight.
Oh, alright then, thank you, because I just remembered I distributed the paper today, but I mistook it as Tuesday. Never mind. I don't think I can even stand me neither. We sat together there in silence for a while, me scratching her behind her ears, and Twi just laying there with a dopey smile on her face, when suddenly she lifted her head and looked at me. Her cheeks had turned crimson and her violet eyes glistened. I wonder if she began. Hmm? I asked, running my fingers down along her back. If humans and ponies can, you know. Twice, still blushing, avoided my gaze. I don't know, I replied. I think so. Do you want to find out? Twice smothered her face back into my lap, as if trying to hide. But then I felt her nod. When she lifted up her face again, there was sudden heat in her eyes. Ooh, some ponies getting horny.
Wow.
Some ponies getting horny.
No, this is pretty damn wing boner-ish.
Don't
Actually
worry.
sweating.
Don't worry, I'll get you to the wing boner parts in a bit.
I'm actually sweating.
Do you want to? I nodded. More than anything else in the world. Twi lifted her head off my lap and sat back on her rump, a nervous smile on her face. I think I want another glass of wine. Her horn began to glow and the magical aura wreathing itself around the bottle, which began to float across us. But suddenly the aura flickered and the bottle would have fallen onto the floor if I hadn't reached out instinctively and caught it. I was pretty drunk as well, but it was a lucky catch. And Twi clapped her forelegs together into the light. I think I should do the pouring from now on, I said with a smile as I filled both our glasses. Twi's ears went back and she frowned. My magic gets all mixed up after I've had a few drinks. It's so embarrassing. I think you're an adorable drunk, Twi. I chuckled, taking another drink, and Twi did the same, glancing at me over the lip of her glass as she drank, a little too fast. Some of the dandelion wine spilled onto her front.
Hey, Knight.
Yeah?
Your
Say that again?
your microphone is a little too close to your face.
Sorry.
It's just chat.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't hear you.
I'm right here. I didn't. Hold on a second. Twi did the same, glancing at me over the lip of the glass as she drank, a little too fast, onto her front, and she floated the glass away, giggling as she pawed at her sticky chest with a forehoof. All this wine has definitely gone to my head, and I'm getting all hot. She looked thoughtful. I remember reading that alcohol increases the blood flow around the body. Maybe that's why I'm getting hot all over the place. I'm getting pretty hot too, I said. Twi looked at me. Well, no wonder you're hot. You insist on wearing those clothes all the time. Humans don't have as much fur as ponies, Twi. I laughed. We need clothes to keep us warm. I want to see, she said, suddenly moving closer to me. See what? How much fur you had, said Twi. I'm curious. She patted me on the chest with a forehoof. Okay, I said. No point arguing with the drunk unicorn. I unbuttoned my shirt and slipped out of it, throwing it over the back of the couch. Twilight brought a tentative forehoof to my chest, and then she started to stroke the hair on it. It doesn't feel so different from pony fur, she remarked, fascinated. I think pony fur is a bit softer, actually, I said, as she was stroking me. I slid my arm around her and ran my hand down her back, feeling the velvet soft texture of her coat. And with a sudden sigh, Twi fell into my arms, the side of her face flushed against my chest, and I suddenly had that warm, fluffy softness against my bare skin. And the sensation was amazing. I took her head in my hands and lifted it up, care to avoid the horn. And this time, taking care to avoid the horn, and this time she moved into the kiss, her lips opening to accept my tongue. She was timid at first, letting me explore the inside of her mouth, running my tongue along her palate and her teeth, all of which were a little larger than I'd experienced kissing a human girl. But soon she grew bolder, and I brought her tongue against mine, and Twi moaned breathlessly against my mouth. I broke the kiss, breathless, and looked up to see that Twi's horn was softly glowing. Twi, should your horn be doing that? I asked. Twi giggles. My horn sometimes does that when I get a little melty. It was the perfect chance for me to ask her something I've wanted to for a long time, but I'd never had the appropriate chance to. Twi, does your horn, can you feel anything with it? She nodded. It's pretty sensitive, actually. It's pretty sensitive, actually. Where is it? Every unicorn's horn is. We use it to interact with the planet's magic field, after all. That sounds pretty neat, I asked. Do you mind if I touch it? She shook her head, blushing. I think I'd like you to. I ran my fingers up along her neck and over her ears until I finally gingerly touched the base of her horn. It was still faintly glowing with magic, and when I made contact with it, I felt a mild electric shock travel up my fingers as the magical aura grew a little brighter and expanded onto my hand. There was a warm, tingling sensation. I curled my fingers around her horn, and it felt warm, soft, and alive, not at all like dead bone. Twi began to pant a little, and I realized that making her feel this way was making me harder than steel. Damn. I began to rub her horn up and down a little, and then I leaned forward and brought my lips against her horn to kiss it. I jerked back a little at the initial shock, but as soon as
Who's
I...
laughing?
Huh?
Nothing.
Someone's laughing.
But as soon as I was used to it, I slipped my tongue between my lips and gave the horn a tentative lick. It was just like licking skin. There wasn't a trace of fur, and I found the sensation of the velvety soft firmness against my lips and tongue unbearably exciting. Twi giggled and gasped as I licked and kissed her horn, but after a short while she pushed me away. I I want to lick you now, she whispered. But I don't have a horn, I replied with wide-eyed confusion. Twi laughed and thumped me on the chest. Oh, come on, you know what I mean, right? I chuckled, nodding. I'd love you too. Quick pause. I'm gonna get a quick drink, and I'm also gonna get some Chinese food. I'll be right back.
Okay then.
This is a very interesting fan fiction.
Yes, I would have to agree. Very interesting.
Yummy. One, two.
So are you having fun tonight, Fluttershy?
Oh yeah. I just realized how fun RPing is.
Yeah, because you haven't RP'd with. How many people have you actually RP'd with?
Plenty of people, just not in a long time.
I know I feel I stopped RPing for a while.
I'm getting the joy of it.
Sorry, what?
I'm getting the joy of RPing again.
Yes, this is what we do on every live stream. I always maybe thought it would take Nightflower off, but it didn't, thankfully.
Nightflower approves.
Almost done getting my water.
Okay.
Fuck, where's my key? Gold. Gold, damn it. Where did I put my key? I didn't leave it in the door, did I? Where did I put my key?
Damn, Gonzo, what are you doing?
Ah.
Well, for one thing, trying to try to unclog some try to make sure my arteries aren't clogged up from all the eating. And trying to think of a few comic dubs that I might do. Think, but don't hold me to it.
I have to say, tonight's been a very good night. Really? No, I take us up a little bit.
And agreed.
That's good that you agree.
It is. Everyone should agree.
Hmm. You know something? I actually started writing my own fan fiction.
I wrote my own already.
Oh, nice.
I actually wrote like 5 of them, but they're all clop fakes.
Mine is not that kind of mine's not that kind of fiction.
Sorry about the delay.
back. I had to clean out. I had to clean out that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm back. So now,
Good that you're back.
yep. Now we can get to the good stuff. Hey, is this a 24-hour live stream? No, it's not the 24-hour live stream. Doesn't start till like Friday. I mean
Well, Friday
Saturday.
around midnight.
Yeah, so it doesn't start till Saturday, technically.
Yeah. Let's get back to this fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
I lost my wing node.
Oh. Let me help you with that, my friend. Where was I? Um. So I begin to pant a little. No. Okay. Nope. She wants to lick. Oh, Twi laughed and thumped me on the chest. Oh, come on. You know what I mean, right? I nodded. I chuckled, nodding. I love you too. I'm getting that melty feeling again, said Twi as she hopped off the couch, a little unsteadily, and stood on all fours in front of me. You're licking me was getting me really hot. She took a single step forward, bringing her head in between my splayed legs, and for a long while she stood there staring at my pants, her head cocked as if she was trying to divine a secret. So, how do these things work exactly? Soon her horn shone brightly and my belt buckle started to glow, the same rose pink color. The buckle slid back and forth as she fumbled with the unfamiliar device, and the tip of her tongue popped out from between her lips as she concentrated. I brought my hands down. Here, let me help. But then I suddenly felt them fly back from my belt, slapped away by an invisible force, and Twi glared at me fiercely. No, I want to do it. There was little Miss Sparkle, the stubborn perfectionist again. I knew better than to argue with her when she was in this kind of mood, and left her to do it. But she quickly worked out that she had to hold the buckle and the belt at the same time, and with a bit of loosening and tightening, she soon unbuckled it, and my belt flicked out and flew off across the room with the life of its own. Wow, I said. Add that to the list of things I'd never seen before I came to Equestria. But Twilight was already examining the zip on my pants. Wait, how many locks do these things have? Why do you humans cover yourselves up so much? I have no... Wait, no. I have no idea, I said. But trust me, you wouldn't want to see most humans walking around without clothes like you ponies do. You ponies are just lucky that all those adventures get involved in keep you looking sleek and healthy. Wait a second. Twi wasn't really listening to me at this point, and with a little experimentation later, she finally worked out the button needed to be undone, and then the zip unzipped. And soon she had my jeans around my ankles, and I sat there in only my boxers. What? Another layer? She laughed. You humans are crazy. Is Earth really that cold? Wait. Was there another ice age? Wait. That can't be right. You said that your planet is undergoing something called global warming, right? I don't really think that's the reason I began. But Twi had grown impatient, and, abandoning her magic, she was now gripping the leg of my underwear between her teeth, and trying to pull them down. They slipped down about an inch before they got stuck on my erection, and she was forced to pull harder and harder until they slipped down over it. Pretty painfully, I might add. And Twi fell back on her rump, giggling, leaving my underwear hanging around my ankles. I had also fallen backwards onto the couch, my dick waggling comically in the air, and I was just sitting up and kicking off my boxers. Hold on, I'm gonna put a lot of emphasis on that sentence again. I had also fallen backwards onto the couch, my dick waggling comically in the air. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, that was too much emphasis.
She looked at me, still dizzy from the fall. But when she realized that I was now totally naked, Her jaw dropped open. So that's what it looks like, she gasped. I looked down at my hard on and chuckled. Haha, yeah, they're pretty awesome. I was worried for a second that she might be freaked out, it being the first human penis she'd ever seen after all. She was already trotting up, swaying a little as she did, and when she reached me, she threw her forelegs on either side of my thighs and brought her curious face right up close. She stared at my dick for a moment and then glanced up at me. So, I'm just supposed to lick it? She asked with disarming directness. And that'll make you feel good? Well, yeah, but only if you want. But my half-hearted protests were cut off as Twice stuck out her tongue and drew the wet tip all over the head of my dick. After a quick taste, she sat back down on her rump, deep in thought, as if she just performed an experiment and was contemplating the results. Not bad, she said at last, and then she leaned forward and licked from the base up to under the head and then back down, her huge violet eyes glued to mine as she did. So, this is okay? I started squirming. It was an inexperienced blowjob, sure, but the sight of Twilight's innocent eyes glistening as she tongue basted my cock was driving me wild. Uh, was all I managed to get out. I guess that means I'm doing okay, Twilight giggled as she went back to licking the whole length of long, easy licks of her pink tongue. Uh, Try putting the whole thing in your mouth, Twi. That feels even. But she was way ahead of me, and as my erection was enveloped by her warm, wet mouth, I felt a jolt of sexual electricity course up from my prostate right up along my spine. Twi drew her mouth up and down slowly, trying not to gag, and soon she learned that she could set me off by running her tongue underneath the head, as she did, and after a while she had me moaning like I was dying. It's always
Damn.
it's always amazingly hot to look down and see a girl on all fours giving you a blowjob, but seeing Twi doing it was several degrees hotter. Maybe it was the naivety of her big violet eyes, or that rump of hers wiggling a little as she bobbed her head up and down, her tail happily swishing back and forth. Or maybe it was the fact that I was getting blown by someone, well, some pony I was completely head over heels in love with. Whatever it was, I didn't feel like I could last too long with the exquisite waves of pleasure that were flowing through my body. But I had no intention of blowing off in her mouth, as amazing as that would feel. So, with an act of extreme willpower, I slipped my dick out of her mouth. She looked up at me in disappointment, clearly worried that she'd done something wrong, but I shook my head. Sit up on the couch, I told her. I want to taste you now. Twilight blinked at me. What? My horn again? But you. No, not your horn. Your other place. Between your haunches. Her eyes grew wide. What? You really want to? I didn't reply, but just slipped my hands under her forelegs and lifted her body up onto the couch so that she was sitting back on her rump. Uh, this feels a little strange, Twi remarked. Always the scientist. I know Lyra sits like this all the time, but her voice was suddenly dropped away when she saw me kneel in front of her and gently part her knees, and she gasped as she felt my hot breath against her most sensitive of places. All our messing around had quickly turned Twi on. The thick, spicy animal scent of her sex filled my senses, and I felt my dick jump suddenly at the intensely sexy smell. That thing just sproinged. That thing sproinged and no seconds flat. Get it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Anyway, give me one moment. I needed a drink and I need to eat.
Everyone does.
hmm
I need another drink. Let me pour one.
What happened?
I'm in need of another drink.
Uh,
I'll be
uh,
right back.
yep. I clearly turned Twy on. Thick, spicy animal scent, sex-filled senses. Thick jump suddenly at the intensely intense smell. The lips of her pussy were slightly parted, already glistening with beads of juice, and her clit was rock hard. Wait a second. Can a clit be rock hard? I don't know. Mm. Fried dumplings, really good. Um, there it is. And peeking out from under its little hood, I deciding there was no need to go slowly anymore. I decided there was no need to go slowly anymore, so I dove down and drew her clit into my mouth. It was like I had applied a branding iron to the little purple unicorn pony. She almost leaped off the couch with a cry as soon as my tongue touched her, but I slipped my arms around her thighs and held her down and began to eat her out properly. As I licked, soft little gas emanated from her, and I could feel myself getting harder still as I was exposed for the first time to her amazing flavor. Her juices were clear and hot, and I couldn't resist sticking my tongue into her sticky little slit to get a better taste. She was rich and salty, but with an undertone of sweetness that I'd tasted before from a vegetarian girlfriend I'd had. And the more I licked, the more stickiness appeared. And all the while Twy was squirming on her rump, her forelegs pushed up hard against her mouth to stop herself from crying out. Eating out a pony was a little different from eating out a human girl. For one thing, one moment. Mm, there we go. For one thing, their tails seemed to have a life of their own, and Twice was brushing back and forth against my bare chest and nipples. Nipples! Making them tingle with the strange sensation.
Teats.
Teats, I like that word. Teats. Just like how I like the other word, scoots. And with my arms around her thighs, I found that my hands were so close to the soft swellings of the tiny breasts situated between her tummy and her haunches. Whatever. And I chuckled to myself at how much more convenient it was to make love to a pony. There was no need to reach up to tweak her nipples. They were right down here. I stopped licking her pussy and lifted my head to stick one of those hard little nubs in my mouth, curious to see if she'd like having her nipples licked. And Twy gasped. I guess she'd liked it. I took my time sucking and licking on those soft breasts of hers, and as I did, I caressed her little clit with feather touches of my thumb, and then gently slid a finger, and then a second one, into her. Twy was already so moist down there with the mixture of her juices and my saliva that they penetrated her without a problem, and she sighed as I explored the saintity soft passage, or the satiny soft passage inside her. I was trying to be as gentle as possible, seeing as it was her first time, but when I accidentally grazed her nipple with my lower teeth, she yelped, and I felt a tremor inside her pussy, and a sudden hot gush of fresh juices around my fingers. I took my lips off her breast and chuckled. Wow. Did you like it when I did that, Twy? Twy didn't reply, but straightway brought her forehooves down, and taking hold of my head, pushed it back against her breast. Bite me again, please, she whispered. Harder.
Damn.
What?
Nothing. Just a little kinky.
I knew better to ignore Amir's heartfelt pleas, so I ran my teeth against the nipple and gently nibbled it, feeling Twy's pussy grow even hotter and wetter still against my fingers. I returned to sucking and mouthing her clit as new droplets appeared glistening on her lips. Her panting grew deeper. I was at that crazy stage of excitement where your dick becomes the entire center of sensation, so I took my fingers from inside her and started to jerk myself off. But I knew that if I didn't, but if I knew that I didn't fuck her soon, I was going to come all over the place. So I pulled my hands away and stood up. Anyway, so what's keeping you from offering? Oh, anyway, I don't know. Twy looked at me nervously as I took her by the forehoof and lifted her up off the sofa. Her mind was disheveled, her face flushed, and her bottom lip was white from where she had been biting it. I took a cushion from the couch and placed it on the floor, and the little purple unicorn made no protest as I lay her on her back with the cushion against her butt, and then lay on top of her, kissing and nibbling her neck just beneath her ears. "Will, will it hurt very much?" she said between the deep pants I was eliciting from her. "Maybe for the teeniest little while," I said, stroking her mane. "But I promise that after that it will feel even more amazing than everything we've been doing." I grabbed my dick and began to rub the head, already slick with precum, up along her sticky slits. And when it touched her swollen clit, she gasped. "P- Please, please stop teasing me," she pleaded. "I don't think I can stand it anymore. Just put it in me, please." "What's that, Twy?" "What do you want me to do?" I said. She teased me with that blowjob earlier, and now it's my chance to return the favor. "Rat me." It was little more than a whisper. I couldn't quite hear what you. "Rat me!" screamed Twilight. "For Celestia's sake, rat me!" But in the
Damn.
American language, that is, "Fuck me, for God's sake, just fuck me now." Uh,
Damn.
what?
Nothing.
No, tell me.
That's just holy shit.
What is?
Wish my girlfriend was kind of like that, but no.
Anyway. Well, since you asked so nicely, I brought my hips forward. I wasn't too worried about hurting her, as I hadn't felt a hymen in my fingers, but I thought it'd be better to be gentle to start with. The head of my dick slid easily in between her gooey lips, and I slowly eased myself into her. "Oh, oh, Celestia!" she groaned. "Holy fuck!" I gasped. The feeling of penetrating her was almost indescribable. It was like I'd slid into warm honey, so sticky and hot and slick was it inside her. Anyway, tell me if it hurts, okay, Twy? I started to fuck her in slow, shallow strokes, luxuriating in the feel that slimy tunnel squeezing the end of my dick. But Twy had other ideas. She threw her forelegs around my torso and pulled me against her so that I slid into her balls deep. Then, when the head of my dick hit her cervix, we both cried out. I brought my hips back, sliding a little bit out of her, and then I slid back in, and Twilight groaned. "Oh, Celestia, why didn't why did I wait so long to do this?" Soon we adapted to each other's rhythm, and we were fucking like we'd done it a million times before. Twy might have been a virgin, but she was a quick learner, and I soon discovered that she enjoyed long, deep strokes, which was perfect as it gave me the chance to kiss and lick her neck while we fucked. She wasn't one for talking during sex, and instead she panted and moaned, tossing her sweat-slicked mane from side to side. I loved the intimacy of doing it in the missionary position, but for real penetration, doggy style is the only way to do it. My dick still inside her, I flipped her over with difficulty. She was only a little pony, but they're a lot heavier than they look. And then I took hold of either side of her hips and resumed plowing into her, eliciting high-pitched cries of pleasure from the little unicorn. My side was still smarting from the manticore wound, but all that wine that I drunk masked the worst of it, and the excitement of finally fucking Twy was transmulating the little that was left into pleasure. I looked down at her pert rump and her long tail whipping back and forth, and I slid my hands across the small of her back, feeling that soft, velvety fur. I shook my head in disbelief. Man, oh man. All those years wasted fucking human women. Fucking a pony had some definite advantages. For one thing, I didn't have to reach up to grab hold of her hair to get leverage for my thrusting. Her mane extended farther down her back, and the perfect handhold for pile driving myself into her, which I did with drunken gusto. Twy was moaning louder now. I could feel her pussy getting boiling hot around my dick as I stopped. Oh,
Dick.
no, yeah, it's like a general way I say that. Give me give me a moment. I'm getting some more food. Mm.
This is just so good. I can't concentrate.
Wingboner. You brought it back to life, Nightflower.
Gonta, how you doing over there? If you're still alive. Hmm.
I think Jan Minion's dead. He hasn't talked in a while.
Hey Jen, are you okay? Wait a second. Um, Interesting. All right, we'll continue. Hmm. Wait. He's clapping. Ha ha ha. All right. Let's see. Resumed plowing into her. Elicit high pitches. Um. Give me a moment to figure out where I was. Fucking a pony. I didn't have to reach up glad leverage. Her mane extended down farther back, which good on gusto. Twy was moaning louder now. I could feel her pussy getting closer. I said that. Uh, Twy? Twy? You better slow down. I'm going to come otherwise. Twilight looked back at me in horror. No, not yet. She pulled away from me, my rigid dick slipping out, dripping from inside her, and I fell onto my back on the floor. I was in a daze, and my entire body felt like a single raw nerve, having been stopped just before coming. And as I sat up on my elbows, I saw the little unicorn advancing on me, her face flushed and her eyes hot and hungry. Uh, Twy? What? Twy didn't reply, but pushed me back down. Ah. And that's where I had to stop. My roommate's back.
Aww.
I know, right?
That is bullshit.
That is. But
No fair.
Send me the link. I'll try to keep on reading.
all right then.
Do it. Do it.
That's if no one wakes up in my house.
Where you going?
I said that's if nobody wakes up in my house.
Wait. He just left. He just left. I can continue.
Okay, good.
Hold on a second. I can continue. He just left. But I had to hurry though. And that's the backup just in case I don't. Oh, hello, Chris. He said hello, and I didn't even see that. Anyway, so let's continue. Push back down. Either side of my. Okay. And then swung her hind legs onto either side of my waist, staring at me. A suddenly predatory smile on her beautiful face. And then she leaned forward and lay on top of me with her full weight so that my erection was sandwiched between us, her pussy hot and wet against it. And she began to rub herself up and down against me, her tongue slipping from between her lips as she did. Hey, what do you think you're doing? I demanded, in between gasps. The friction between the two of us was sending bolts of pleasure along my spine, and I grabbed her butt to slow things down before I came. What does it look like I'm doing? Said Twy, grinning down at me. I'm going to rut your brains out. or in the American concept, because the American concept's always better, I'm going to fuck your brains out. But as soon as she said it, she blushed crimson. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I just get a bit aggressive when I'm drunk. I'm liking this drunk aggressive Twilight, I said, sliding my hands up to her head and drawing it down so that I could kiss her. But this time her tongue, which was been so shy during our first kisses, was a hungry invader sliding straight into my mouth. At last Twi broke the kiss, and I was left gasping, breathless. I guess you do like it when I'm aggressive, she giggled. I merely nodded, groaning, and slid my hands back down to her wide hips to help her hump me. And while she ground her haunches back and forth, she levitated the wine across to her and started to drink straight from the bottle. Hey, I cried, leave some of that for me. She smirked down at me. Oh, are you thirsty? She floated the bottle down to me, but as I reached for it, she jerked it out of my reach and brought it to her lips again, taking another mouthful. But this time she didn't swallow, and instead leaned way down and brought her lips against mine. And when I parted them, she drove her tongue inside, and with it came a sudden flood of sweet liquid. What?
Who are you texting?
I swallowed it as quickly as I could, so I found myself already wrestling a suddenly aggressive pony tongue with my own. And all the while she continued to slide her pussy against my dick. This had gone on for long enough. I pulled out the kiss, grabbed her around the waist, and lifted her body off me, and I threw her back onto the couch. She looked up at me in surprise. I speared my dick right into her. With her pussy just soaking wet as it was, there was barely any resistance, and I was enveloped in hot stickiness that made me cry out in pleasure. And then I started rutting her in earnest. I was out of my mind at this point, everything turning into a swirling confusion of drunkenness, tension, and love that made me feel like I was on fire. I fucked Twi like I was somehow revenging myself upon her for how much she made me lose control over the situation. But she loved every angry moment of it. So in this case, angry sex.
Damn.
My hips were a blur as again and again I threw my dick almost completely out of her blistering hot pussy, as so that only the head was left between her juice-slick lips, and then pistoned back into her, driving myself ball deep and making her cry out. And soon she was screaming at me to rut her harder, and her cries of ecstasy grew more and more sharp and urgent. Her horn was glowing stronger and brighter now, and the purple glow had already expanded to surround us both, and I felt the hairs on my body stand up as if by static electricity. Suddenly, Twi's eyes, which he had kept squeezed shut the whole time, flicked open, and deep within their velvet reaches, I noticed sparks of platinum white begin to swirl about. And as I stared into them, I felt the waves of pleasure growing excruciating. I was getting close. Alright, I'm going to pause it here to take another bite to eat. And also for suspense reasons. Mm.
I want here. I just saw how much you're spending.
I'm done.
Too busy on your stream. Can't mute it for 10 seconds so across the stream.
Who said who's busy with the stream now?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going. I'm done. But then I noticed that instead of the bookcase, wait, Instead of the bookcase, which had been behind Twice's face all this time, I was now looking at the high vaulted ceiling of the library. My stomach lurched, and I looked down and realized that we were now floating around 2 feet above the couch. Twice's magic, with the life of its own, had levitated us into the air as we'd been running. So this was what it must feel like to fucking zero gravity. Oh god, I want to do that now.
That would be fun.
That would be. Hmm.
Uh, who knows though? Who knows?
Nah, I'm gonna rent a wind tunnel at some random private moment, and I'm gonna do it in the wind tunnel. We'll just be floating in the air. I'm just banging her brains out. We're doing it
That'd
while
be
we're.
fucking awesome.
That would be. Anyway, zero gravity fucking sounds awesome. Yes, it does. But then I noticed, so this is. I gripped her hips and drove myself deeper inside her. And as I continued to thrust Twi through her hind legs around me and locked them around my waist, and we span crazily about in the air in place, set in motion by the frenzied movement of our fucking. It was beyond the point of no return now, and Twi was throwing her man about, biting her bottom lip so hard that she'd drawn blood. Twi, I'm going to come, I shouted. "Uh, I am too," she cried. Twi's eyes were no longer those liquid violet pools of orb, but orbs of pure white, blinding light. And then all of a sudden I felt the pleasure inside me soar to a whole new level of ecstasy as the soft purple unicorn magic that surrounded us both caught alight, and we were wreathed in a flare of heatless, scintillating energy, with the two of us still fucking madly at its heart. And then we came together. The magic fire was part of us now, and I felt as though it was pure energy that was flowing out of my dick into Twi. She screamed out as well, her pussy flooding with a surge of blisteringly hot juices that seemed to be made of liquid fire, and they poured out around the base of my dick and all over my thighs. I was sure my heart had stopped, and the sound and sight and time and space and everything else had disappeared, and all that existed now was the two of us, fused together, my semen blasting into her hungry womb, an excruciating ecstasy surging through our body, like being in the center of a supernova. And then we were falling through an endless white void of light. An eternity later, when I could see and hear and think again, I found myself lying on the floor of the couch, which had thankfully broken our fall when Twi's magic had shorted out during her climax. Twi herself was lying next to me, her eyes wide open and staring at the ceiling, unseeing. But they were those soft, violet eyes that I had fallen in love with, and not the blinding white orbs of elemental power that burned into my soul just a short while ago. But then Twi noticed I was awake. She turned over and smiled at me. Well, she sighed, deeply and happily. I guess that's one new experience I won't be writing to Princess Celestia about. Oh, I don't know, I chuckled, kissing her on the lips. I think she'd get a bit of a thrill out of it. Twi giggled, but then she looked at me with earnest. Did did I do okay? Okay? I looked at her in disbelief. You were unbelievable, Twi. Twi sighed happily and rested her muzzle on my chest. I guess it's true. I guess it's true what they say, I said suddenly. What's that? I lifted my arms into the air theatrically. Once you go flank, you never go back. God damn it. Twi lifted her head to look at me. She wasn't smiling. Was that a joke of some sort? I sighed. Well, it was supposed to be. You know, you may be really very good at writing, she said with a sniff, but your jokes are terrible. Well, at least she criticizes you the right way. I was supposed to be asleep 4 hours ago. I should have been in bed 5 hours ago. Well, you've only have to come put up with them until I get back to Earth, I replied. I regretted my flippant joke as soon
What do you
as
mean
I'd
you should
made
have
it.
been in
In
bed
bed,
5 hours ago?
because I was gonna go to sleep early so I could get ready for the stream.
Didn't you say it was starting at midnight?
Yeah, but I need rest because this is 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh,
Not today. No, well, today because it's midnight now, but like Saturday, I mean, like tonight, as in like late tonight, I'm going to.
what do you mean?
Yeah. Anyway, I should have been asleep 3 hours ago.
So you're gonna start the stream tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Why?
Oh, looks like we're gonna need more viewers than ever.
Exactly. Ponies, please reblog. Tell everyone that I'm doing a 24-hour stream. I want to see how many people I can get. I want to entertain the masses. What?
I could see this 24 hours later, 200 viewers waiting.
That would be a lot.
It would be. So please help me, ponies that are in this stream right now. Help a Bernie out.
I'll actually try to get Pickle to get some people.
Uh, Help a brony out. I'm going to. Oh, damn. She's fat.
Wow, that was just rude.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Damn,
God. Wait a
she's fat.
second. Wait a freaking second. Is this the new episode?
What the hell?
That is.
The flying fuck?
What?
Damn.
Look at the stream. Look at the stream right now. The flying.
I've X'd out of the stream.
You shouldn't have. You gotta see this. I think
That
this
is part of the new episode.
Okay, what happened to her? What the heck happened to her hair?
Holy shit.
Soul
Damn it.
spark.
Damn, dude. What the fuck happened to her hair?
Holy fuck.
Oh, that. I bet it's the sneak preview.
It
Yeah, I've
is.
seen it. So.
It is. That is awesome. That is so awesome. Oh my god. Only
You said you're gonna show this, right? On your stream?
the episode? Yeah, I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can display it on the TV. I'm gonna
Death
use the
Dragon
camera.
says, holy shit, future Twi.
I know, right? Oh, you know, Paranoid Twilight's gonna do something crazy with that.
Oh yeah, there will probably be a Paranoid Twilight.
Anyway, you know you may be good at running, but it's why. Okay. I regretted my joke as soon as I made it, for Twi was suddenly crestfallen. Tears started to glisten at the corner of her huge, bless you, violet eyes, and she turned away. Hey, Twi, I said, reaching across and pulling her over so that we were face to face again. What? She muttered angrily. I think you can probably stop looking for a way to get me back home now, I said. Her violet eyes went wide. Wait, does that mean you want to stay in Equestria? I nodded, smiling. It does. With me? Her voice was a whisper. No, with Ditsy Do, I replied in exasperation, but before she could protest, I darted forwards and kissed her half mouth open. Of course with you. And at that, the little purple unicorn squealed in joy and climbed on top of me, throwing her forelegs around my neck and peppering my face with kisses. Twi? I said. She murmured as she continued to kiss me on my neck and across my sweaty chest. I just realized there's one fun fact that you won't find in that big book of yours. Oh? She said, stopping and looking at me with interest. And what's that? I love you, I said. The end.
Damn.
Aww.
Did I really do
Clapping for you.
Did I really do that good? Like,
Yes, you did.
Very.